and I would always immediately tell them what's going on? Oh, okay. I would always tell them how it was done, and then the magicians would always come over and yell at me for revealing the secret. And I realized, like, people don't necessarily want to know how things are done. Like, you know, that's not me. I want to know everything's done, but I guess some people like living in a mysterious world of Santa Claus and tooth fairies and magic. But I find it kind of frustrating to not know.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi.
This question might be a little bit off topic, but in this film you worked with Woody Harrelson, who you worked with in Zombieland. I know you did a show many, many years ago on a Fox TV show called Get Real, and that was the first time I saw your performance. That also starred Anne Hathaway, and I was just wondering if you two actually reminisce working on the Get Real show when you worked together on the animated film Rio.
Oh, wow. You've been hanging out with my mother. No, we didn't, because I think we were both miserable doing that show, and so we blocked it out. I mean, the show was fine, but it was kind of a miserable experience. But that is a good observation, and you do have an internet connection. With Woody Harrelson, we did Zombieland together, and then we were going to do a sequel to that movie, and then they ended up not doing it. And we wanted to work together. We really like working together. We work in a similar way, even though we have kind of very different personalities. We both kind of work in a similar way. We like to improvise, and we like to kind of come up with kind of complicated backstories for both of our characters that we both know about, or things that we don't know about, so that we can surprise each other. And so this provided a great opportunity to work together again, but kind of in a different, with a different rapport.
And Jesse, you actually mentioned that you feel safe enough, comfortable enough with Woody Harrelson that you'd actually give him a note on his acting?
Yeah, I mean, like number one rule when you're acting with somebody is you do not give them a note. You know, that's like the first thing. You never tell an actor, like, you should do this or that. You know, it's totally rude. But with Woody, like, we kind of get along so well. He was the first actor I ever kind of gave a suggestion on a joke. I would never do that to anybody. But, you know, we just kind of feel comfortable, and he thanked me, and he would do the same thing to me. And it's nice to have that kind of shorthand, because it takes a long time to develop the kind of, you know, feeling of security with somebody to do that.
Have we got another question? And let's go.
So at the start of the movie, there was a lot of kind of sleight of hand stuff. Is that stuff that you had to learn personally with that sort of stuff, or is it all kind of maybe added in at the end?
I do some of the stuff, like anything that's not impressive to you, that's my hands. And anything that looks really great is somebody else. And the first thing in the movie, I'm like flipping through the deck, that's kind of easy to do. Well, it's easy relatively. It took me like 3 weeks to be able to flip through in a way that could show you the card, like that 7 of diamonds trick. And then there's another trick where I'm handcuffed to the table and I'm like shuffling through a deck of cards, and that takes, I'm not exaggerating, like 20 years every single day, 8 hours a day to learn. And so that was like these great card shufflers named the Buck Brothers, these twin brothers, and they're incredible. There's 2 of them, because that's how exhausting it is. They have to like step in for each other when they get blisters.
Another one?
Hi Jesse, thanks for coming to Melbourne. I'm just curious if you...
You're clapping for your own city.
If you had the choice of any film ever made, and which role would you want to be in?
Now you see me too, playing the Isla Fisher character, because she's from Australia. So, clapping for your own country.
Hi. Hi Jesse, I'm a really huge fan, first of all. I'm right here. I watched you from The Education of Charlie Banks, and I loved you from there. So, but here's my question. In this movie, you worked with big shots like Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman. What is it like playing, like acting with them?
After a while, it's like acting with anybody else, but the first, there's some like initial apprehension. It was particularly strange in this movie because my character is so condescending to Michael Caine. So it's a little odd because you're, you know, looking at him and you want to be polite because you like are remembering to be polite when you see somebody like that. And then I have to be rude, and then you do it in this scene, and then they call cut, and I immediately apologize. And you know, but then after a while, it's like working with anybody else because I'm not really thinking of it as though I'm like working with Michael Caine. I'm just thinking of like, I mean, it sounds maybe a little nutty or something, but like I just think of like my characters talking to his character, and my character thinks A, B, and C of his character, so it's not, that initial nerve goes away pretty quick.
We got another person with a mic in hand, and then we'll come down the front next.
I too have an internet connection, so I know that you're a writer as well for stage. Do you enjoy writing for stage or acting better? Which one do you prefer doing, and which one would you like to do in the long run as well?
Yeah, I write plays, and I like doing that. When I sit down to write something, it just kind of comes out as a play, even if I intend otherwise initially. And when I act in the plays that I've written, it's kind of an extension of the writing, because it's a similar, except I'm only playing one of the characters, obviously, but it's kind of the next manifestation of writing is the performance of it. And then the last play I did, we finished 2 months ago, and we did it 80 times. It's exhausting. I wish we could do it just one time. That would be enough. But we do it 80 times, so you start to not only have the process of writing something, but by the time you do it so many times, the writing feeling of it goes away, and now you're just acting in it. It could have been written by anybody.
Do you think you'll write films one day, Jesse?
I don't know. I really like writing plays because I started out writing movie scripts, and when I was young, I got some scripts optioned by companies in California that made me change the whole script, to suit some actor's manager who read it and wanted me to make the character likable or something stupid like that. And then when I started writing plays, and I knew they would never get made either. And then when I started writing plays, there was a totally different response. In the theater world, they don't change a word of your dialogue or anything, and you could write about more interesting themes that don't have to sell 1 million tickets, and it was just a totally different world. Not to put down movies, but as a writer, I'm more comfortable with plays.
So we're quite picky when it comes to the movie roles you will choose, and whether you will ask to have it changed to suit you.
Yeah, with this movie, for example, there was a script written, and they gave it to me, and they said, don't pay attention to the words that are in it, because it's going to be changed entirely. And then they hired 2 other writers, and they changed it entirely. And then they came to me and said, what is your input? We're hiring even another writer. So they did that, and I got to work with the final writer. So initially with a script like this, what I was reading was what this character is, and the general plot. This was a unique one in terms of how many people worked on it. But that happens. It's not uncommon with movie scripts.
All right, I'm going to take the mic down the front again.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Hi. You mentioned before that the actors on set, you had different approaches to acting. Beyond learning the magic tricks, how do you approach a character when you're cast in a new film? Do you have a process that you always use, or do you change it every time?
It differs a little bit. With a movie like this, you're not just working on a character's mind. You're having to learn some specific skill, which is really helpful, because when you learn the skill, you're kind of getting into the mind. It gives you a physicalization of what the character's doing. That's helpful. I like to do something physical, I took fencing lessons once for a character, and the character doesn't actually fence in the movie, but the character has the posture of somebody who fence. So it's kind of good to do these things. It sounds absurd, but when you get on a movie set and there are 100 people standing around waiting for you to do a good job, if you want to prepare as much as possible. So I do as much as I can, reading about things that seem semi-relevant to the character, just so that when you get on set you feel prepared. And most of the time it's not really relevant to the actual acting of it. It just helps me feel more kind of secure in being there.
Hi.
Hey.
This is less related to the film, but why do you think we as people are so fascinated with celebrity? No offense or anything, I'm not having a go.
Oh, I've thought about this a lot. No, I have no idea. Who knows? I don't know. It's awful. I don't know. We're also fascinated by death, which is also boring. I don't know. That's depressing.
Have we got someone else with a mic?
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Hi. Okay, you can go first. Alright, cool. Nope.
For me, sorry. Hi, Jesse. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize to us.
I'll never forgive you.
Congratulations, first of all. I love the Social Network and Zombieland. But in all of the roles you've done so far, which one is your favorite? Or do you just take everything in as a new experience?
I don't know, I like things at different times. I really love doing this movie that literally no one saw called The Living Wake, and by literally I mean my mother, the people in it, the people who made it, the editors. No one saw this movie. And it was like the most fun experience I've ever had. And it's strange because, you sometimes get attention for things that you really didn't think about too much, and and then conversely, something you put so much into and felt really good about, no one watches it. And I don't really care because I don't follow like the box office or whatever. I don't follow all the side stuff. But it's just interesting because you think, oh, something was really good and it deserves to be seen, but it doesn't matter.
And we've got one just in the front of you with your hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi.
I read that you write musicals as well.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you had a lot of musical training as a kid, and also, do you write the songs in your musicals?
Yeah, like I write the songs and then my friend writes the dialogue between the songs. I didn't have any musical training, which is evident from anybody who listens to the songs. And but like I play piano and guitar, and with modern technology you can play like a million instruments if you plug it into the computer, so it sounds more impressive than it actually is. And I hope to do it next year, but I'm not going to act in it. I can't sing well enough to be in a musical.
We've got another question just over to the side in the red jacket here.
Hi, Jesse. Just want to ask you, what was the most challenging scene that you found in the movie?
Yeah, the challenges in this movie were less character-driven and more magic-driven. Like there's a... God, is it even in the movie? Like, there's like I do something called like a snap change, which is such a quick little trick, but it took me like 4 weeks every day to learn. And that's the hard stuff. With a movie like this, it's really hard. Like when an actor has to like learn to ride a horse for a movie, and then not only are you like learning to ride a horse, but you're like acting in the same way that you would be doing if you're not riding a horse or something. So it just adds this weird challenge. And my character is like the greatest sleight of hand magician in the world, so I couldn't, look on my face like I would, like I'm concerned I'm not going to get the trick right. So you not only have to like do the trick, but you have to like hide the fact that you're terrified it's not going to go well.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry, I've been waiting a while, so...
How long?
I was very polite and let the other girl ask you a question, so I think it's my time.
Oh, you mean 5 minutes since the question and answer thing started?
I know.
So maybe we could give you that time back if you want.
Fabulous job, really love the movie. Alright, so I was just wondering, have you had Vegemite before? And do you know what it is?
I know what it is.
Have you had it before?
I've had it once.
You've had it once? Did you like it?
No.
Did you like it?
No.
Fair enough.
No,
That is my question. And
it's like yeast-based paste,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
That's terrible.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, could I... Yeah, how did you have the Vegemite? Sorry. well, because in Australia we grew up on Vegemite. So... No, like, did you have it on toast? Did you have it on sandwich? Did you have it with butter?
I had butter, toast, the whole thing. It was still bad.
Did you have it with cheese on top?
No, I didn't. But
what? No, sorry, that's my friend, not to you.
What? That was to her?
No, because you said that having it with cheese is disgusting.
Oh, do you guys want to fight without the microphone?
I think we'll just start with We've got time for a couple more questions. We're in the front row.
Hi, Jesse.
Hi.
I was just going to ask, with all that running, did you need to do any cardio exercises? Which scene was the most fun to film?
Yeah, probably the running scenes were fun only because, most of the time when you're acting in a movie, you're like sitting in a small room all day and you get no exercise, and then you go home and it's hard to sleep. But in this, I would run at work and then go home and sleep well. So those were fun. I didn't have to do any warm-ups or anything like that because I read somewhere that if you warm up, it's not going to be helpful. And that seemed like a lazy man's excuse to not have to do warming up or stretching or anything.
Hey, Jesse.
Hi.
Oh, that's enough.
I was wondering, I went and saw you in The Revisionist earlier in New York, where you were playing a character that you'd created.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very different to the character on screen here.
Okay.
Do you find it's more free? You have more freedom playing a character that you create? Or what's the difference between playing a character someone else has created for you and one that you've created for yourself?
Well, the characters I write are usually like dealing with things I've gone through, and so they're very personal in that way. But once I take on a role, I kind of think of the character's experience as my own in some perverse way. When I'm acting in something I wrote, I do feel like a little extra nervous because I feel like I don't have like a overseer, like a boss to like tell me that, like to approve or disapprove because I wrote it. And when I'm acting in somebody else's thing, I feel a little more safe, like you have somebody telling you what you're doing is right or not right. And so I feel like I'm a little more secure with those boundaries. Thanks for coming to the show.
Just finally, Jesse, what will we see you in next? What's coming up next for you?
I'm doing that play again, and I did 2 movies that will come out, I guess, next year or this year or something. I don't know, they don't have release dates yet. And then, yeah, maybe they'll do a sequel to this movie. They're talking about it because it's really popular and because there's a vague ending.
Everyone, can you please thank Jesse Eisenberg?